Hello again, everybody. I'm going to do a tutorial on how to actually make a flag. Now, obviously, it would take too long to show you every single step of the process, but I'll go ahead and explain as I go, and then we'll do like segments so you can see how the process works. Anyway, on a previous video, I showed you how to make a pattern for a flag, and now I'm going to be making the flag. The flag that I'm making is for my high school color guard, and they don't have a school color flag to do like parades and pep rallies, so I figured I'd go ahead and make them one. And I've received my material from Band Shop. So, first thing the supplies that you're going to need is you'll need a rotary board. You can find this like in the quilting sections at some fabric stores. They are kind of costly, so if you don't have one and you need to buy one, I would go on like a sale weekend, or if they have one of those 50% off coupons or something like that, that'd be the best time to buy one of these. Other things that you will need is this here is called a rotary cutter, and this is a must. You do not want to cut each one of these pieces out by hand, but with scissors. This thing is kind of like a pizza cutter. Once you open it up, you can literally just cut whatever shape you want, and it cuts it like perfect. And that's definitely a must. And then you'll need a hard ruler. Thicker the better, because this needs to be stable, because what you're going to do is you'll hold this down while you're cutting your fabric. Okay, so that's your basic things that you'll need in order to do the material cutting of the flag. Now, as I stated in a previous video, here's the pattern piece that goes with this color. This is my pattern piece number 1. Okay, so this will be towards or along the top of the flag. I measured for the 45-inch side that I need at least 40 inches. And then going down the yard length, I'll need 15 inches. Now, I'm going to go ahead and cut this in 15-inch lengths. Since I'm going to have the 5 inches left over on the 45 side because it's useless material at this point, I'm not going to bother measuring 40 inches. I'm just going to leave it as 45 and just cut 15 inches going all the way down. Ideally, I should be getting about 16 pieces because I plan on making 16 flags. So, moving on. What I've done here is I've already opened up my material, and here's your 45 side. See? Not very long. And since I know that I'm going to be cutting down the yard length, I'm going to go ahead and fold this to where my ruler will fit. We'll go like this, and then we'll fold it up one more time. That should be enough. Now, the reason why you want one of these quilting boards is because, first of all, it's got measurements already on it. So you can line up your fabric so you know if you've got a straight edge or not. And if you don't, then this is your chance to adjust everything. So, with that being said, I've got my fabric folded in half. It looks like I can probably get a couple cuts off this one little piece here. So, let me pull this out to be lined up with the line there. Good, good. Good, good. Okay, looks like we are ready to go ahead and cut, because everything seems lined up. Alright, so then at this point, since your board has all the line measurements on it, all you have to do now is figure out 15 inches. Which is right here. Okay, now before I actually cut this, I just wanted to show you also that this piece here, if you were to put it here, you'll see that it fits comfortably this way, and that's why we're going to cut 15-inch lengths. So let me put this over here. And all you do is just go zip, and voila, we got our very first piece. Just set that aside. And since this board holds up to 35 inches, all I have to do is go down. So there's 10, another 15. Just move down the lines here. Okay. And that's all you have to do. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the video at this moment. I'm going to cut out all 16 pieces that I need, and then I'll move on to the next segment. Okay, as you can see here, I have all 16 of my orange pieces stacked on top of one another, and I went ahead and put my pattern piece on it. Now, since you're rotary cutting, you don't need to go pin crazy. I only stuck a pin in each one of the corners. The reason for that is when you're pinning through 16 pieces of material, I'm going to zoom in here. You notice how it tends to pucker the material there? That kind of makes it a hassle for your rotary cutter. So you don't want to get pin crazy. Otherwise you're going to have very uneven cuts when you go in to cut it with your rotary cutter. Alright, I'll show that next. Okay, another thing I want to mention too is you need to leave a seam allowance. And when I measured out my pattern, that's why I always went 1 inch beyond each edge. If you look here on the rotary cutter, right here, this knob, I try to line that knob up with the edge of the pattern, because then that gives me a solid, I'm going to say about ½ an inch, and that's going to be good enough for your seam allowance. So all you do now is you cut into the material, and then you just go for it. And it's better to overcompensate than to under. So you're just going to cut along here. Oh, make sure this board is underneath this, otherwise your table's going to get all whacked out. Okay, and just to show you, all 16 pieces are cut through, and every single one is exactly the same. That is wonderful when it comes time to sewing. So I'm going to go ahead and cut out the rest of this, and then I will show you what it looks like. Okay, voila. You now have 16 pieces cut exactly the same, and all you do now is you just, for the remaining pieces of your pattern, you'll do the same exact process, and then I'll come back to you when it gets time to sew these bad boys together. Bye. Okay, I have the pieces cut out for the top half of the flag. The blacks and grays and silvers will go here on the bottom of the flag. So here's the top of my flag with my arc going down the side. These are the pieces that I'll be putting together, and I'll be back as soon as I show you how it's supposed to look when you pin it. Thank you. Okay, as you can see, I've already pinned together 2 of the pieces here. When you're working with a curve, there's a slight curve in the pattern itself. You have to be very careful when you're pinning, because this material slips a little bit, and also you're going to have on the curve, you want to make sure that when you're lining up the curve, it's going to be where the seam's actually going to go, because depending on how the curve is going, see, like for instance, this gold piece or this shiny piece here is going to be, it's probably going to have a little more flap, you know, because it's more material going around this way versus the material going this way. So this is what it looks like pinned together. I'll be back with you when it comes time to sew. Okay, we're going to go ahead and stitch together 2 of our pieces now. Really, really pretty pieces. I'm just going to use a straight stitch, and it doesn't have to be an extremely tight stitch. So let's go ahead and do this. And by putting the pins in vertically with your pattern, you can actually sew right over those. So I'll go ahead and get started here. Do my little back stitch. And then all you do is just go around. And since we're dealing with a curved seam here, you're going to kind of have to manipulate the material slightly as you go.
don't want anything to be puckering on the other side. Okay, so far so good. Now we're getting to the bigger part of the curve, so I'm going to stick my hand under there, kind of pull the other material around. One of the things I like about the rotary cutter when you're cutting out the material is the fact that it makes such clean straight lines that on the next step it'll make a lot more sense as far as when we sew down the other side of this. Okay, and on the next segment I'll show you how we're going to go ahead and press that out. Okay, I went ahead and pressed out the material. What you're going to want to do is you want to press it to one side. So as you can see here, I pressed it all to one side. So that way when you get onto the other side, you got a nice clean line. You always want to try to press the seam going down the flag, because when you're spinning the flag you don't want the seam creating any kind of air friction or anything like that. And then to secure this flag in place, we're going to do something called the felled stitch. With a typical felled stitch, you would roll this fabric under to get like really clean looking seam. However, since these are color guard flags and you're spinning them from hundreds of feet away, we're just going to do a very tight zigzag stitch to secure this loose piece down. And I'll show you that in just a moment. Okay, the seam is now complete. As you can see, even with the zigzag stitch, it still's got a nice clean line there. And then on the other side, if you're using a similar color to the fabrics you're using, you can't really tell anything. And now this flag is considered double-sided, and that concludes the sewing of these two pieces. Now I'll just go ahead and continue with the remaining 16 flags, and then you'll piece everything the same way, and then you'll be done. And it's a lot of work, but I guarantee it by saving, each one of these flags is only going to cost about $12 on average, and normal color guard flags when you buy them professionally are anywhere from $35 to $50 something. So, if you like to sew, then this is definitely the way to go. Anyway, thank you for watching this tutorial. Bye.